Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I had a paranormal childhood story. I was 12 or 13 years old living in St. Louis. My grandfather died and left my dad his house in super rural Missouri. My family moved into the house. My dad was a serious cocaine addict, and we couldn't afford to live in the city anymore. The house was old and spooky, and the closest neighbor was like 3 miles away. There even was a family graveyard that all my ancestors were buried in. My family has been in Missouri since the early 1700s. My dad started getting serious withdrawals and would pace around the house and literally beat the shit out of me whenever he saw me. He would also beat my mom so badly, I honestly thought he would kill her one day. I spent most of my time walking around in the woods to avoid my dad. By the end of the summer, my dad was over his withdrawals, although he had started drinking pretty heavily. I started school, and life was pretty good. Fast forward a few months, and my brother comes back from Iraq. My older brother was always my best friend, but the desert completely fucked him up. He had serious PTSD and basically would sit around all day and get drunk and fight with my dad. The situation just got worse and worse until one day my dad accused my brother of stealing some of his cigarettes, and he slashed my brother with a knife. After this day, my brother moved to live with some woman in a trailer. All of this shit began taking a toll on me, and I started getting violent in school. I smacked my middle school girlfriend and was suspended from school. I ran away from home and started living with my brother and his tweaker girlfriend in a trailer. Started hanging out with her younger brother, who was a part of a weird group. They were into weird paganism shit. Fast forward a few years, they had all started getting into drugs. Literally started to act like a pagan Satanist cult. One of them was even arrested for killing some drug dealer. I started getting really paranoid. One night I was so paranoid I was certain there were a dozen people watching me from outside the trailer, so I started shooting a gun into the dark. My brother and his girlfriend woke up and started screaming at me, and I was so confused I just ran outside through the woods with the gun. I felt like there were people stalking me and watching me from the dark of the woods. I came really close to putting the gun in my mouth because I was so paranoid and afraid. Even thinking about it now makes me nervous. Luckily, I joined the army when I was 17 and left all the fucked up family shit behind me. I still am pretty dysfunctional today, which you probably could figure out since I'm posting on /x/ on a Saturday night.
Might as well share some OC. Back in high school, I joined a moving company for a summer for extra cash. I had a car of my own, so I would be sent to do small jobs or sent ahead for smaller stuff, so the foreman wouldn't have to deal with it. This story is from one of the last jobs of that summer, and why I didn't go back the following summer. We'd spent the day cleaning and moving out a large, older-style farmhouse for a lady being moved into a retirement center. It was chock full of deer heads, hides on the walls, stuffed animals, and just so much fancy wood-carved furniture that we had to make multiple trips to clear everything out. It was a frankly beautiful home, but horrifically confusing with how large and maze-like each floor layout was. You'd go from a room stacked end to end with nature oil paintings to a dead end of a hallway where there was a deer skull mounted to the wall in the corner. After we'd finished up and I had started driving home, I got a call from my boss saying one of my coworkers had left their tool set behind. They knew I was still around and asked if I could go back and get it, to which I said yes because I'm a kid and I don't want to piss off my boss. And it was getting late, and it was creepy as you'd think walking around a giant, old-style house as the sun goes down. Every single step I took would have the floorboards creak loud enough to make me feel like I needed to quiet down. Imagine this. Every step, I peeked into a room to see if the tools were in there or not. The house would do it too, just because of how old it was, and it kept making me check over my shoulder to see if I was alone or not. There was one room that we were not allowed to clear out because it was full of these mounted and stuffed animals that the family of the woman wanted to get themselves. Apparently, these ones were special hunts and stuff that they had gotten themselves, and not like the ones we cleared out. They were massive antler mounts and a single stuffed deer head that was stood perfectly up on its edge facing the door as I passed by. It was freaky, but I didn't see the tools inside, so I just left and kept going. I just kept seeing the deer head pop up from time to time as I made my way through. It was mainly in mirrors that somehow made a perfect line from the room I'd be in to the room the deer head was in. I swore that it was always meeting my gaze no matter where I'd be. You matched that with the creaking and the general atmosphere of the place, and it made me want to get the hell out of there. Eventually, I found the tools on the same floor, in a room we'd cleared out earlier in the day. I immediately started hustling my way out of there. When I passed by the room the mounted head was in, and saw that it was gone, I ran. I suspect all of this was a massive prank on me by the guys, but their car wasn't there. That house was quiet enough that I would have been able to hear if a big guy was in there stomping around. I never bothered telling any of them about it.
Be 10-year-old me, spending summer vacation in my now-deceased grandma's house. It's a pretty old house in the farming parts of Tunisia. The town was old, dating back to the Punic Wars. Still didn't manage to develop beyond that kick. Have fun all day with cousins playing games in the inner courtyard of the house till exhausted. All the kids sleep in the same room, which usually serves as the living room. Being one of the youngest in the batch, I get a mattress on the floor while the older cousins sleep on couches a little less exposed to bugs. Roaches PTSD.jpg. Not much room left, so my mattress ends up pretty close to the doorway to the next room, which my uncle repainted that same day. No one is sleeping there for sure. All furniture was taken out to do the paint job. Reeks of organic solvent. Great. If the bugs don't get to me first, I'll die of asphyxiation. My face when I can't sleep because of the scorching South Mediterranean summer. One of my habits when I can't sleep is to move my pillow around, looking for a cold spot to evacuate some heat into it. Can't find any. I don't need a pillow. Let's throw it away. Just like that, I send it off across the nearby room, get a little satisfied from mistreating a pillow and finally fall asleep. Wake up, don't know how much time later, feeling a little uncomfortable. Maybe I should get my pillow back. Hope it's not covered in fresh paint. Slowly lift myself up, trying to get into a sitting position, when I look up to the other room where I see a humanoid silhouette. It appeared to be made of lots and lots of tiny flashy triangles, metallic of some sort. I freeze for a second, not understanding any of this at all. At this point, I was sitting on the mattress, not able to move any of my limbs. The silhouette bends over, reaching for the pillow I had thrown earlier in the room, and without even seeing it move any further, the pillow comes flying straight in my face. I scream the house down from getting hit in the face by the pillow. Adults come rushing in through the room in the opposite direction. The house was built in some linear series of rooms fashion. Turn on the lights and inspect the house. My parents say I either dreamed it up or it's just wild children's imagination. They won't believe me and won't talk of it again. 3 years later, my grandma died. That was the only time I went back there since it happened. My aunt lived there alone with my grandma, but she wanted to sell the estate and leave. Curious me asks her why she wants to get rid of the place where she grew up. Your mother wouldn't like me to tell you this, but let it be our secret. Yes, I love uncovering family secrets, especially if my mother doesn't approve of me knowing. It only means it's crispy stuff. So I nod. A few weeks before Nana, Grandma, died, I was washing the dishes in the outer kitchen before going to bed when I heard someone tell me to leave. Just like that. A hostile and cold leave in the dark. So I decided to put down the glass I was washing and head to my room. But it broke the minute it touched the table. At this point, I was having flashbacks of that damned night and wondering if it was linked. Then I recited some prayers while going to bed, and God protected me. What the fuck happened in the house to cause this? My feels when the house is sold, and I would never know who or what was haunting it.
This didn't happen to me. It happened to my uncle while he was out working with natives. Be my uncle. Out in some South American country. I forgot which. Doing field work with natives. Trapping fish and shit and reporting about their population in tiny creeks. Walking back on the riverbank with a few natives. The sun is setting, so everything has a blue hue. Everyone's talking pretty loudly to each other. Suddenly, one of the native guys tells them to shut up. Everyone goes quiet. Whispers in Portuguese to look at the other side of the riverbank. Tells everyone to slowly back away into the shadows of the trees. On the other side of the riverbank, there's this tall, dark brown guy. He's bathing himself in the mud, rubbing mud all over himself. My uncle says he had sticks in his hair, or maybe even horns. The native guy tells the group to walk quietly, and that we'll take a different path. Everyone's half an hour late to camp. My uncle asks what the fuck that was. Apparently the natives said it was a different guy from a neighboring village they didn't like on the other side of the river. Here's the thing. My uncle said he had a map of the villages in the area he was at, and the closest village that was on the other side of the river was a few kilometers away from the river. And when asking other people that did not see the guy, he was told that barely anyone ever goes to that side of the river. It's up to you guys if you think it's real or not. I don't even really know if I can say this story is true. But my uncle is the type of guy who'd never tell a lie, just because he can.
This is from my teenage years. I grew up in northern Scandinavia, Sweden, on a farm in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by trees, mountains, lakes, and rivers. Be me. Out fishing on the lake by myself. Late summer or early autumn, so it's dark during the night, the time I was out. Get no fish. Need to take a piss real bad. Row ashore to the closest land I can see. Pissing in harmony, looking at the stars, enjoying the complete silence. Hear a heavy branch snap behind me, very close. Heart stops. Blood freezes. Remembering all these awful horror stories my grandparents used to tell me about all kinds of insane shit that eats children. Run to the boat. Row, row, row the boat like I'm on steroids. Hear something jump into the water behind me. Row even faster, get home, lock all doors, run to bed and try to sleep, shake like a leaf, scared. Heart starts pumping again, couldn't sleep. Tell my grandparents what happened the next morning. Probably a bear, son, you were lucky, don't go out by yourself during the night. We told you these crazy stories so you wouldn't do stupid shit like this. Tells more stories about children being eaten alive by bears. Glad to be alive. I have never been so scared in my life. Still thinking about it makes my hands shake a little.
Have you seen gnomes? Was 14, went to a camp with friends. Friend was a little coward about the supernatural. He needed to go take a dump at night but was scared. Convinced me to keep him company for the 20 meters he was going to walk. Being the alpha male atheist rationalist that I was, I just laughed at him the whole way. Waited for him to shit behind a bush. On the walk back, I was berating him. Nothing was out there. Suddenly, something makes a noise, and we both use our flashlights to see what it was. It was not an animal. Something similar to a human, 30 centimeters tall, ran just 3 meters ahead of us. That shit hides in another bush, and we heard the rustle. We both stare at its hiding spot. "Anon, did you see that?" Shit. Wasn't my mind playing tricks on me? We both run like scared toddlers to the campfire and never leave camp at night for the rest of the camp.
OK/X/I'll bite. Fresh OC. Let me preface this by saying my parents' house has a history of odd or weird shit happening. Orbs appear in pictures, other spooky stuff. Anyway, be me, 17 at the time. Got done work at like 2 a.m., come home. Pull up across the street to park my truck. Notice the attic light is on. Mutter to myself that someone must have been up there rummaging for something and forgot to turn it off. I'll turn it off because the door to the attic is beside my bedroom anyway. Go inside, upstairs, find boxes and shit still piled in front of the door like it's always been, unmoved. Spooked.exe. Move boxes, open the door, turn the light off, put the boxes back. Come to find out later, my parents said that had happened a couple times before. I have a couple other stories I could post if interested. As I said before, there's somewhat of a history of happenings. This is a story my mom has told me a few times since I obviously don't remember. Be me. Maybe 4 or 5. My bedroom is sort of kitty corner to my parents across the upstairs area. Mom puts me to bed. Later comes up to go to bed. Dad worked night shift, reading a book or something before sleeping. She can hear me talking quietly on occasion. Next day, I'm tired and irritable. This repeats a few other nights until one morning she finally asks me what is going on. I tell her the boy is keeping me up at night. What boy? There's a little boy that sometimes comes in my room at night. He wants to play with me and be my friend. Nope.png. Mom tells me next time this happens, tell the boy nicely that you're trying to sleep and you don't want to play with him, and ask him to find another friend to play with. Apparently I do, because it stops sometime after that. We've also, well, used to, I moved out like 10 years ago, noticed on many occasions the family dogs would be doing something, then suddenly stop and stare at one of the corners of the room in the living room or dining room where nobody was. We've had the TV in the living room they used to have come on in the middle of the night, one time with the volume maxed out. When we have the upstairs bathroom window open, the breeze creaks the bathroom door, so we push a towel between the bottom of the door and the floor to hold it open. At least once I can remember being downstairs alone and hearing the door creak, grumbling to myself, going upstairs to either close the window or put the towel in place and finding the window still closed. In the last few years, nothing super weird has happened, but my mom also has smudged the house a couple times. We still see orbs in pictures, though.
My dad, about 10 years ago, started going on about how he felt like something was after him. My dad had depression problems and all, and was in a failing marriage with my stepmom. He called me thinking something was trying to get him at night, and it really shook me. Fast forward a few weeks of hearing nothing, then out of nowhere he calls me crying, saying he couldn't do it anymore and it was too late for him. My mum calls me and asks me to meet her with my sister, and that it's important after a few hours. Comes to find out my dad shot and killed my stepmom, and then turned the gun on himself. People he worked with said that he was acting paranoid and looked like he hadn't slept in days. Something about hearing your parents scared of something so bad, it drives him to snap and kill your stepmom and himself is scary to me.
Live in a small town in Tennessee. Was still in elementary school. Would go to my grandma's house near the center of town after school until my mom would get off of work. Grandma's house had a backyard with a 6-foot-high fence that encompassed her yard and was as wide as her house and went roughly 70 feet back. Outside of the fence was a large field with a creek at the far end. Inside the fence were 4 large magnolia trees, a trampoline, and a standalone garage. The garage was far away from the fence on all sides except for the back side, which was about 7 feet away from the fence and had a canopy connecting it to the fence. Cousins and I decide to play tag. Someone is it. Doesn't matter who, but I am being chased and running for my life. Choose to run around the garage in hopes of losing whoever is it. Round the corner and go under the canopy, only to stop in my tracks. Underneath the canopy was the lower half of a fully grown buck. Roughly 4 inches of the disconnected spine was sticking out of the roughly severed edges of the deer. Though mostly empty, remnants of organs rolled out of the carcass's abdomen. The hair was caked with dried blood and had various gouges across the entire cadaver. After staring too long, I run with my other cousins to get my grandma. Not allowed outside again, and the deer is disposed of in ways unbeknownst to me. This experience confuses me to this day. The fence was left unharmed, and there were no other signs of how it was brought beyond the high fence. My family, although they are from Tennessee, do not hunt. If they did, it would be stupid of them to leave the lower half of a deer in the open where children often play. With that said, how was it placed there? What did it? So many unanswered questions.
Be me. Work in a rowdy countryside restaurant. A girl walks in, like nearly 7 feet tall. Absolutely gaunt, super pale, really long fingers. Didn't want to be rude, so didn't judge. Maybe she had that Marfan's thing. Plus she was kind of cute. Get a weird aura from her. She asks for buffalo chicken wings for her entree, which isn't all that odd. She asked for it barely above a whisper, and her cadence was weird. Put down the order. She eventually gets it. She eats it pretty normally, although she'd make these weird snarfing sounds as she ate. The restaurant was popular with biker gangs, so nobody really gave a shit besides me and a few other servers. Eventually, notice her drink her water with no straw, already weird in itself, and she'd also just swallow huge chunks of ice with it. Starting to get a little freaked out, see her finish her wings, start to walk over to take her plate. Before I get there, she starts eating the bones, truly dumbfounded. Nobody else seemed to notice. She's just crunching away. Try to ignore her and work with other customers. Eventually take her plate. She paid for her meal and tipped pretty standardly. Left politely. Next time I saw her, she was chasing a raccoon across the street and trying to catch it with her bare hands. She seems nice, but I have no idea what her deal is.
I live in an old mill house that was built in the 1930s, next to a cemetery that is considerably older. I've been here 2 years now, and often have mysterious things happen, but only one event was blatantly paranormal. This happened a year ago, and is the reason my boyfriend and I never sleep with the bedroom door open anymore. Sleep squished between my boyfriend and a large dog every night. Usually never get up in the night. Wake up feeling like I'll die if I don't get some water. Walk to the fridge feeling fine, but once I grab the handle, I feel overwhelmingly ill. Wake up 30 minutes later on the kitchen floor. Must have collapsed. This has never happened before. Assume I have some sort of health problem. Get water and go back to sleep. Be woken up in the middle of the night by the dog. Assume she's growling at something outside and sit up to calm her. See my large Rottweiler is standing rigid over my feet, snarling at the bedroom door. Eyes adjust. She is growling at a man standing there. He is staring at me, bracing his body like he's going to attack. Lock eyes with him and start shaking my boyfriend. As I'm doing this, he silently walks into the bathroom out of sight. By the time my boyfriend is awake, it's gone. Dog is still growling. We immediately check the whole house, which is really small, and there was no sign of an intruder. What terrifies me the most is that it didn't make any sound at all. A few weeks later, I wake up thirsty again. Remembering how I passed out, I wake up my partner to go get water with me. As I get my water, he goes to the bathroom. Be sipping in the kitchen. See a silhouette of my boyfriend peeking at me from the doorway. Think he is being cute. Ask him why he's staring at me. Two things happen simultaneously after this. I realise it's way too short to be him. He answers confused from the bathroom. The figure recedes into the darkness of the hallway. Haven't experienced anything since that night though.
I grew up in Glasgow, Scotland, in one of the worst areas in the UK. Has the lowest life expectancy, highest crime rate, highest murder rate. It was bad. I think you get the point. I was 11 and was getting a kebab at the local shop on a Saturday night, which I knew was dumb, because Saturday night was when gangs would fight with each other. As I'm walking out of the shop, a gang from a different territory spots me, pulls out a knife, and decides to chase me. I dropped my kebab and ran as fast as I could, but I'm only 11, and these people are in their 20s. They caught me and, without warning, brutally beat me enough that I couldn't even scream. Then, after that, one of them asks me where the other gang is. I say I don't know. So he stabs me 2 times in the lower back and once in my stomach. I couldn't move, but someone spotted me and called an ambulance. While I was lying on the ground, time kinda went away and I was starting to get very tired. I knew I was dying. While this was happening, a very bright light appeared in the sky. It was weird because its brightness was infinitely bright, if that makes sense, but I could stare straight at it. While looking at this light, all fear, all regret, and all pain just vanished, and I felt nothing but infinite love. It's hard to put in words, but the love this thing gave me never ended. Literally. Next, this thing, which I now think is God, engulfed me. And again, I can't put it into words, but I was this thing, God, and this thing was also me. Not only this, but I was one with everything. During this, I loved everything, including the people who just fucking stabbed me. And I forgave them. Again, I can't put it into words. This lasted what felt like 10 minutes, but then I snapped up in a hospital bed and was in extreme pain with stitches all over my body. The doctor told me I was in a coma for 4 days. This whole experience is what brought me to this board. I don't know if it sounds fucked up, but to me it is. I still get nightmares almost every night, and I will be traumatized for the rest of my life. I left Glasgow a while ago now, and never intend to go back. It's not the fact I was stabbed, but that the people who did it without any hesitation and had smiles on their faces.
Watching TV at home, 12 years old, almost 13. Mom is in the kitchen making dinner. Dad is upstairs. 3 armed, masked men break into our house. Most likely robbery because it was in the hills and an expensive house secluded area. I run into the bar, same room as the TV area. Mom and Dad have been zip-tied, and I hear them get knocked out in the kitchen area. My dad was a big gun enthusiast and was super superstitious, had them hidden around the house. I was a smart kid and very mature for 9, been hunting with him before and stuff. He showed me locations around the house where he kept handguns in case of an emergency. Under the bar, velcroed to the top of the inside of the cabinet. Grab it. Impulse mode kicks in. Need to save family. Peek around the corner. One of them is watching my parents on the floor. Get as close as I can. Aim at his head, neck, chest area. Fire 2 bullets, both hit in head and chest. One comes rushing like an idiot down the tile stairs. He starts checking his friend. Seems stuck. I'm back in the bar area now, just looking through the crack where my dad's recliner was in the kitchen area. The other guy comes in, pointing his gun around. I have a vision of one's back and the other's foot. I shoot 2 bullets at the guy's back, then 3 at the other's legs. This situation where they were both in my vision was a very close time period, and I was lucky to react as fast as I did. Anyways, 2 hit the guy's back and he falls over gasping. 1 bullet hit the other guy's knee area and the other his shin area. I crawl through the gap of the recliner and bar wall. He's aiming his gun, crawling away. I point my gun at his general direction while on the floor, not looking at him, just hand and arm peeking out from the wall. Fire a lot of bullets. Can't remember, a lot hit him. The guy hit in the back is still alive. Gather firearms around him and keep an eye on him. Go to the dining room and grab our house phone. Call 911 and explain that 3 guys broke into our house armed and masked, and I killed 2, but 1 is breathing.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.